Welcome. You have joined Pray
to stay in the race,
as we share scriptures,
testimonies, and prayer with
encouragement.
to be bold, be
strong, for our Lord
God is with you.
Remember
to
stay in the race.
So I am Latanya Boyce. We thank you for watching Pray to Stay in the Race. And we know it's going to be exciting. And everyone loved my guests last time they were on. And so, Jan, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come to the social hour of our spotlight about drama and actors. And so, with us right now today, we have John and Lava. And I am so excited about everything you shared the last time. And I had so many people call and say, they're here in La Luz. And so it's like, is anything good in Alamogordo or La Luz, that can come forth? So I want to just turn this over, and we just want to get some things that I know it's been exciting on your trips, because before it was great. Thank you guys for coming on Pray to Stay in the Race again.
Yeah, we had a great time. I just don't remember what we said last time, so I hope it's not redundant to anybody.
And just like you say, if it comes over and over, it's more so that you know how to better yourself and pass on that information. So get excited, tell somebody, and even let them know that this is a great time if they're an actor or if they want to get out their gifts and things. That we're here. You said the next social is going to be October
24th.
October 24th, and you're always able to come down here to the Chamber of Commerce and see Jan, and get more information and see how what you have can work for everyone in this room as we network together. So on that, I'm turning it over to John and Lava.
I just want to say, if you come October 24th, it's a costume party, so you better be in costume.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out there to your viewers.
Yeah.
Don't want them to be disappointed.
No.
Yeah.
And we are so honored to have them with us tonight. They are Raven Crow Entertainment Incorporated, and it is Lava Consawan and John K.D. Graham.
That's right.
And please tell us about your path into the film world.
Sure.
And give us the information that we would like to know, that we think would help our film community answer some questions for them about how you get into a successful career in film, because I know that both of you do have that.
Thank you, Jan. That's so sweet. And thanks for having us, by the way. We're really excited. John, do you want to start?
Sure. I feel like a lot of you, my film career actually began as an actor, and it began right here in Alamogordo at the KB Toy Store, when I acted like I would not be able to survive if I didn't get a toy. And I did this every time I was there with my mom. So, they say repetition makes perfect, and it's actually true. But the truth is, I did end up in drama in 7th grade. I came out of my shell. I had moved to Louisiana by that time. Was afraid of being in existence. And drama got me out of my shell. I ended up being the president of the Thespians. Not that anyone told me there was any responsibility involved with that, because I did nothing. So bad producer at that time, I guess you could say. Went to the Savannah College of Art and Design, where I went to study art. I didn't know what I would do. My dad was a scientist, and he was a British guy, and he really wanted me to be something practical. So of course I chose art school, and he didn't like that. But in the end, I fell into filmmaking. Mainly, my roommate took an intro to video class, and they had to make a music video, and he asked me to act in it, because I'd been an actor. And I realized quickly I was terrible at acting, but I'd be really good at filmmaking. And so I was into like technology and working with people and collaboration, and it just sort of seemed like magic, which it is. It's like you're this weird artificer when you make a film. It's not really easy to explain how to do it. You just got to learn it. So I learned a lot of that at school. Then I was able to, long story short, I can go into this more detail later. I was able to get into the union out here. So I moved back with the prospect of working in the union. And I was in the union and never got any work because I didn't know anyone. 480. So I was a PA for a while. And then that's actually how I met my then now lifelong friends that I started collaborating with and making movies. But along that same time, we got into the union. So I had a way to make money, and we made movies, sort of. So eventually I made my first feature film called Home Sweet Home. Just my friends and I. There was like 3 of us on set sometimes, including the actor. And sometimes there was like 8 of us at the best times. And we just filmed it at my parents' house and like took it over. and basically told them to be shh, shh every time they did anything. So it was really funny. My dad didn't like that either. But in the end, we got our first feature film made and somehow got it sold and went on this weird route of making stuff. And it's the honest thing is there's never one way. There's never one roadmap and there's never one final destination. I'm still inventing my film career as I go every day. So that's me in a nutshell. We can talk more about it, but I'm gonna let Lava go.
Let's see here. When I was in fourth grade, I lived in a lot of poverty at this time. My family at one point was in a shelter, so I only set that up because I saw Audrey Hepburn on TV, and she was helping some poor kids. I mean, I'm fourth grade. I don't know the details, and I was like, if I go into film, I can do something good in the world. And that idea has never left my head that film is very impactful and you can do good with it. So I ended up going to business school. I did not go to film school. And at some point, that dream of mine of getting into film hit me again. And I was in my late 20s, and I decided I'm just going to go try to do this acting thing for fun. And I got an audition for McDonald's and I booked it. I was like, well, I guess I'll quit my career. I had a Warren Buffett company working there. And then I went into acting as a commercial actress and model for 5 years. And this is Ohio, and I didn't want to pursue like being a celebrity or anything like that. I wanted to find a really nice little film industry, and this is like almost 20 years ago. And I was like, oh, New Mexico, that sounds great. So I ended up in New Mexico, packed up my cat, packed up my clothes, and we came to New Mexico, and I fell in love with the place. I still love New Mexico. It's been the best thing I ever did was coming here, and did I did get a lot of auditions. I moved to Albuquerque. I booked a part on a movie called Tenure that had a role with Channing Tatum and a bunch of celebrities, and I realized I didn't want to act. And I decided I wanted to be the storyteller. I was like, acting's fine, but I actually want to learn how to become a filmmaker. So instead of film school at this point, I was like, well, I don't want to go to school again. I'll just learn on the job. So I started out as a production office intern on a German film called Friendship. And it was such a great experience. And I never looked back. I mean, it just, thankfully, once you do really great on a film production, I never had to apply for a job again. I just worked my way from production office intern, then became a PA. Then I moved up to like production. I did a big jump to production coordinator on some lower budget stuff. And now I write, produce, and direct and assist direct edit for him.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, all of y'all want to get involved in the film industry for different capacities, and sometimes you might end up doing one thing and end up becoming famous for some other thing. I mean, some actors started out as crew members. I think that's true for either Harrison Ford or it's one of those guys. But is it him? Yeah. So like, and there's plenty of people who the opposite happens. They show up on set acting and they end up becoming set photographer or like stuff like that. Once you find yourself on a film set, like Chase was saying, you pretty quickly can get integrated into being a crew member or like something else. I think it was Michael Bay actually got promoted to being director at one point on some film set just because he happened to be the next in line on some crappy movie or something. And like people kept quitting. Eventually he was the leader of the film, I guess. And like that's how he got started, is my understanding. Sorry if I got that wrong. But yeah, yeah. And then um let's see, yeah, I don't know. So getting on set's the key. I mean, in film school, I started out being a DP. I liked the idea of running the camera. I thought that was cool to like point the camera at stuff and like camera magically captures things that we can't see. Like some people look great on camera, but they look totally average in person, or it can be the other way around. Some people seem like they're an amazing actor, and then you put them in front of the camera, and it's like completely dead. And that's why actually I like doing my auditions the old, like the Zoom way that happened because of COVID. I love Zoom auditions because the camera doesn't lie. You can see right away if someone's got it or not. It's so interesting. But I mean, I can wax poetic forever about little details about filmmaking, but the truth is, you got to learn it all.
Yeah.
You just got to learn it all, even if you're an actor. I would say because we just finished filming a little mini series. I call it a mini series. It's really a glorified short film that they break into a few pieces later. But it's to help the New Mexico youth choose positive ways to self-regulate as opposed to drugs and alcohol, because it's one of the biggest problems going on in our state. That's why there's violent crime and all kinds of other stuff happening amongst the youth. And lo and behold, anyway, so today I got like the rough cut for the whole thing done, so I felt pretty excited about it. And she was asking me how it went. And I said, well, this is like the third one with these partners of doing the same kind of thing. It was the easiest for me to edit this time, I think partially because we've been busy and I've ramped up my, my engines running high speed. But the other reason is the actors were very consistent overall. And I had an actor ask me on it, hey, do you prefer as a director, like when I do a scene that is different every time? Or what do you think? And I was like, well, personally, and this will be different for every director. I was like, personally, I want consistency. And then if I'm happy, I'll ask you for something else. But when I get into the edit, the hardest thing that I run into is if I'm talking to Lava in a shot and it's looking across me at her, and this person's not being consistent in the foreground, it just makes it very distracting when you do the editing if people are looking in weird places all the time. And then I end up spending the bulk of my time in the edit trying to clean up those little things and literally massaging the edit to get rid of those little inconsistencies. And that's where you start having these higher level productions when you edit, when it's like seamless, right? Where it doesn't feel like a movie. And so my answer was be consistent unless you're told otherwise. And like there was one movie where I had to replace all the dialogue in a scene. It was in my Wish for Christmas movie. The Santa character, who's our star actor, Bill Engvall, is sitting with the young lady, and there was just so much traffic when we shot it. It was just like out of the blue, like traffic hour during that period of filming. It was crazy. So I had like 3 takes from different angles that had quiet audio. This is before AI could clean up a lot of stuff. And I, as the editor, had to like choose how to. The edit was forced by the audio, if that makes sense. Like what takes I used and how to do it. But I was able to steal her audio from other takes and just drop it right in. And she was so consistent that it literally looked like she was saying the lines again. It was crazy. So consistency is huge. And if you're an actor, that's something you can work on. How do you practice your own consistency? And that includes walking around your house. Practice walking from like the front door to the bathroom and touching all the same objects on the way to the back, saying the same lines at the same time. And once you nail that, you're consistent. It'll make your life a lot more fun on set too. What do you think? I'm just blabbering here. What do you think about my blabberings?
I think that's all very good, but I believe a lot of times it's great to hear stuff, but you learn the best, in my opinion, hands on. Like working with each other, making stuff is going to be your best teacher, and you'll if you actually got into editing, even if it was something small, a lot of it would make sense for your acting brain. Because I swear, when I meet actors that understand editing, they're much easier to work with. And I'm not saying go out and become editors, but you kind of let go of like, oh, am I doing this right? Why did they direct me that way? It's like, oh, actually, they just need another option. And it kind of lets you relax somewhat. If we're like, oh, try it like this, means nothing. Like it gives you perspective, like, and also if you know it, you can take a breath and be like, I don't need to say this whole thing, this whole like scene correctly. I can just take a moment. If I miss a line, just take a second, give it a breathe, and then try to deliver it again. And don't sit there go, oh, sorry, 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 and mess up the whole thing. It really gives you a different perspective when you can know how filmmaking works, in addition to being an actor. That's my opinion. I also used to work in the casting world, so like it's very interesting. That's a whole another thing to discuss is like getting ready for auditions and callbacks and all that stuff. But it
I think
really,
you could.
hmm?
They'd probably be interested if you wanted to go into any of that.
uh,
Well, well, you can think about that, but I want to add on to what you were just saying about the editing thing, which is that she's right. It's not that you have to know how to become an editor; it's so that you understand that side of the filmmaking process. And I can't tell you how many directors don't understand editing
oh,
when I meet them, and like it actually hurts them big time because
they do too much.
sometimes they'll have the take. Like this miniseries we were just doing, for example, we get to the end of my last take, and I knew I was happy with, say, the shot of her or whatever. There was a couple lines missing. I would just say, okay, everyone pause. Hey, I need you to say this line. Can you say this line for me? Do it again. Say it like this. Do it again. Okay, now this line. And then I can just drop those into the edit. But that's because I know how I'm going to edit it. So you'll run into directors who won't like that. They will want you to say it all the way through. It's not a one take wonder shot either. They just don't tell them this, but they just don't know what they're doing, is my opinion. I mean, truthfully, because film is time and money. So like real directors will not waste time unnecessarily. They'll just be precise. Like there's this famous story of James Cameron pushing lights off, like huge light grids off the side of the Titanic set into the ocean because it was cheaper to do that and to pay for all of that than to reset everything and lose time turning around. Like that's how insane it can be. Not saying that's a good thing to do. Don't push your lights off into the ocean.
Since both of you work together
Mm.
and you have one idea, you have another idea, how do you come together to make that thing be what the vision came out of?
Depends on the project.
Well, actually, we collaborate pretty well. Like if I'm directing projects, like sometimes I direct a PSA or a documentary this year, I tend to just go over the ideas with John, and he'll just contribute something. And honestly, for me, I also recognize that John has directed features. I've helped work on features like in other capacities. I'm actually very open to some of his ideas. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we don't argue about it. But a lot of times I'll be like, it's a good idea. I think we collaborate pretty well.
Yeah, and like if we're on set, you can always do both, you know? And usually your client wants options anyway, so I struggle with remembering to get options sometimes, but
You have to be able to collaborate, period.
yeah.
Like if I can't collaborate with him, I can't collaborate with anybody. And it's like because of the work we do, we involve other people. Like we expect our DP to have great input. Our actors are able to contribute to their art, or even our clients. Like we have to hear ideas. And
We have to share with them. Like the miniseries we just did, luckily they have good insight. Like their notes are good notes, but even if they weren't, like you still have to figure out how to like nicely get what they want to. And that's true even if you're like the top level director making a film or something. I still had to like interact with my investors and like listen to my other teammates and stuff in a way that you just got to play nice sometimes, you know. And the best thing is yes and. You can be like, "Oh yeah, we'll do that and we'll do this," you know. Usually you have time to do both, but I'm usually like, "Well, let's not talk so long about it. Let's just do both," you know, and then we definitely have time.
we're lucky.
But
We also like we enjoy collaborating. Like I think some of our clients, like we love hearing their input and
yeah.
working with them to give them what they want. That's yeah.
As far as working together, we said we have similar taste, I think. So we tend to agree if we don't like something or we do usually. And it's not always exclusive, but like I recognize that if she doesn't like something I'm doing, I need to second guess myself, you know, and think about it. Well, just because I trust her taste too. So sometimes, I mean, I'm not always right, you know, depends. I'm not, but uh, well, yeah, I know. Remind me later. Remind me later. But
Great to work with Joe. I really enjoy working with him. He does have a lot of experience and education, and he's just reasonable to work with. I think I'm fortunate, so I don't have uh, tips on that. It's just that we both just work with
well,
each other.
I would say a tip that you could get out of it, and it seems obvious, but I don't think sometimes you can't find these people all the time, but find people that you share taste with, you know, and or that you respect what they bring to the table, you know. Sometimes you might get stuck with just like in a small town like this, it could be that I'm just making this up. Don't be offended if this is you in here. It might be that the greens person you need to hire to do all the plant look in your movie. This is obviously a high budget movie if you have a greens person because that's really just the art director on my movies. But if you have someone doing that, you might be stuck with who's available, not
Ah.
the best
I
person
know what
around.
you know what? Yes. Okay. And now I know the tip. Is like if John and if he's like when he's directing the series, he's like Lava. I need to get something. I go, okay, copy that. Yes. But if I was like, yes, but I can't do it because of blah 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 blah, and then like it slows everything down. You really gotta have a mindset of like, okay, copy that. I'm not saying like don't if anything's unsafe or not right, that's definitely where I put my foot down. But John's not that guy. But I think what helps collaboration is we respect each other and hearing each other's input and just be like, yes, copy that. And if we have to
Yeah.
talk it out.
Well, you know, and the real interesting thing is we really just built an alliance with each other. I think I had written a short film based on a Sundance Lab prompt. They do this writing thing where they'll put out prompts and you can, for fun, you know, write your thing and submit it. So I wrote this little short film, and she was the one that was like, "Oh, we should go make that." But if she hadn't said that, I never would have gone to make it. And then we ended up making a pretty cool little short film, and it sort of launched this company's career, just because we had a new example. Like, you know, like when you're in this industry, like you have to be creating and participating in it to be considered a part of it, which is this really crazy catch 22, right? Because if you're not in it, how do you get involved? That's that trick of fake it till you make it to get on set sometimes. don't fake it till you make it to be dangerous, by the way. Don't pretend you know how to work a forklift if you don't or something. But the real truth is you do have to just get on set somehow, whether it's, extra or actor or crew member. And sometimes getting on set as a crew member is a way to get a part as an actor. Like, I mean, it's just weird things happen. There's no guarantee to any of it, but
Yeah.
like we had an actor on our set who was available and hanging around some of the days when she wasn't acting, and she became the photographer on set. So for like it was like a measly little extra pay, but for her that was like a huge bonus because she was sort of already there. So like you just never know how it'll come to be. I was an extra while I was working in the union. I had this huge beard I had grown out, and it was like grown out real big, and then I shaved off the middle. I called it my Civil War general, like chopped off this part, and it kind of came back so it looked mangy. And there was this I had no work for like a couple weeks, and there was this casting call for extras for a western. And I was like, so I wrote them in and sent me a picture, and they're like, "You're in the band, great. Show up at this place at this time." And so like, interestingly, the thing is, I showed up there. None of them got the memo I was in the band, so I had to advocate for myself. I'm in the band. Hey, I'm in the band. So just don't be afraid to advocate for yourself on set too. And anyway, I got to be in the band. But while I was there, I met the gaffer. And then like a week later, he found out I was a set electrician. And a week later, he called me and hired me because they didn't have any crew members. But I never would have gotten that job if I hadn't just been like, let's go be an extra, So if you do want to be in it any way you can, I think Jan probably tells you all that, but any way within reason, I should say. And Lava's right. Y'all should 100% connect with each other and start making things. It sounds like we've got people that can jump through windows and people who can build windows that can get jumped through. So like y'all should, I mean, add in some animation. Y'all should try to collaborate, make some crazy thing that you can all collaborate on somehow,
Is there a filmmaker group here?
Actually, this is the start of everything.
There it is.
So
Cool.
Some definitely talented people
Yeah.
I've been telling a lot of people about John's animation abilities and filmmaking abilities,
Right.
and that he was doing live action and animation
Yeah.
for the Slim Whitman.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
and
Slim
we just-
Whitman one was crazy. Yeah.
and we just finished the New Mexico Film Office also hired us to do commercials.
Kind of in that vein also. Yeah. 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 It's like if you really, it sounds crazy, but if you really are excited about doing the film work and you can get yourself on set and you're not too annoying, that's actually really important. Don't be annoying on film sets. I know that it's hard because when you're annoying, you don't know you're annoying, but ask your friends if you're annoying, try to figure it out. But try to dial it back, because if you're not annoying and you're like pleasant and like they see that you work hard, you'll generally just keep
Yeah.
getting to come back somehow.
I did my internship and I got so much work after that. I guess I'm not annoying, so I just worked a lot. I worked forever, and then I worked my way up through the casting world. After production, I didn't say I went through casting assistant to the last thing I cast was actually our series. So I do some casting for low budget stuff, but not. I don't pursue casting directly.
Yeah, and casting is an interesting thing too, y'all, because if you're out there like trying to get parts, there's all kinds of really lame reasons you may not get a part, Like we actually were casting in this miniseries for a specific ethnicity for a part, and then my clients like literally switched it the day of us picking actors. They're like, well, instead we're gonna pick this other guy who's a different, ethnicity. And it was all fine, but I was just like, well, we could have had a lot more people show up to audition also if we had known that. But they sort of didn't know until it was all coming together. And that happens on studio level stuff. Like, people get parts, even with big actors. The next day they're axed, no explanation, no real reason. So don't take it personally. And it is a numbers game. You just got to keep applying and applying and applying and applying. And if you have an agent or somebody and they tell you something like you got to shave your mustache, do it. Because they're not just saying that to harass you. Because like the guy that got one of these parts with us had a mustache and he almost didn't get the part.
As a lead role.
Yeah, and then he said he was willing to shave, but even though it's still like the visual threw off all the casting decisions in a way, like it was hard for people to see past it.
He was great.
But don't shave just because. I mean, this is that weird thing. Do it, but don't do it. Welcome to film. But
I would say my my thing. I was like, oh, I'll make sure I want to say this. This comes from both my producing side and my casting side. Emails or text messages are important to read and respond to. I just want to say that
Oh, yeah.
people don't do it, and it's like we really need you to confirm things. Like I read that, even if it's quick, to say received copy. It's like got it, I read it, because otherwise on our projects, I'm a one person production office for a little bit that if you don't confirm one of my emails, I have to be like, okay, I got to take my time and contact all these people that have not responded to me. And it takes a lot of my time, and I'm super busy. We're all busy, but like that stresses me out when I'm like, I hope they got the call sheet. I hope they show up. I was like, but just read and respond to emails if it's being asked of you, and read all the way down. Usually it's like at the end, please confirm receipt of this email. That means confirm receipt of the email. That's my note. That's my begging of production side.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the answer to that is also a lot of the times I'm contacted, and I will do a short list of people that are available that I know are from our group that are looking. And I will say, okay, here's a list of people that I have with their contact. Start calling and find someone you like. But if you'll notice, then I either call you or text you or email you and say, I just put your name on the list. If a strange telephone number calls you, answer it.
Please answer.
Please answer. You know, because it could be from California, could be from New York, could be from Atlanta.
I almost
You
didn't
know,
answer that.
I know, I know.
It came back wireless. I'm thinking, nah, the benefit.
I'm with you. I always ignore those things.
Moves fast. Like some of our stuff we had to move. We're like, we need to get you through wardrobe. We need to give you script. If you don't reply, and I get sometimes we're too bogged down, and if we can't reply, but if we're in a project and we're responding, I'm like, okay, they must not be good to communicate with. I can't put them on set. Then I just move on. I'm like, I gotta go to somebody I can work with that will make my life easy. Like that's
Yeah.
how I feel.
Going back to when I said don't be annoying, there's lots of ways that could happen. But one of the main things to keep in mind is that the people that are running the show and the production are extremely busy, and everything is like a short fuse. And I don't mean like they're gonna get mad. I mean like everything is a deadline. It's like, and it's like you got to get there before the fuse gets out. So like we're always like trying to get ahead of everything. So when someone's tugging at our shirt tail to ask us silly questions that are in the call sheet already, it actually makes us really upset. Just because we're busy and it's distracting. The only reason I bring it up is just because I think that when you haven't experienced that side of it, you may not be aware. Because to you, it's like this is the only thing happening. This is the big moment. Like, in all those moments that I was just explaining that to you, like those producers have already talked to accounting, they've already called this person, and it's like so like they don't have time for that kind of mentality. So it's sort of like you do have to be responsible for yourself
Yes.
on a film set, period. Because as you've heard, and things have happened in Mexico, you can get killed on film sets.
Yeah.
So like you actually have to be responsible for yourself, and hopefully others too, if you can help. But and I just bring that up because every film set's dangerous. And she said I'm not dangerous, but on one of my films, I did create a dangerous situation by slowly getting us into ending up shooting basically in a street. But it was a very unused street, so it didn't register that it was a used street, which makes no sense in retrospect when I try to explain that. And you see what happens from that.
So humble and so you've done so many things, work with so many national people and all that. But to look at you, you wouldn't even think that you know all and done all this. How do you keep that? Because some people get to working with people, their head gets big, and then they messed up, missing some of the things coming their way.
Boy, that's a great
For me, it's just forgetfulness. I'm serious. I'm serious. Like I'll remember stories of things that happened to me that were interesting, but I don't know. I've never really been overly starstruck necessarily, I guess. But
I gotta say, I actually feel like it is kind of having a spiritual background. I'm not saying I'm like super. I'm actually also on this earth to be the best version of myself, and I'm always working on that. And I know I've got a lot to work on, but it's like I want to also be a good person, not just a good filmmaker. And I'm always trying to be a good filmmaker, but it's like I don't want to go to bed and just be like, I yelled at people today, awesome, like no, I want to have great film sets. I want to have the film sets I wanted to be on when I started out. And we have a really great core of people too. Like we really vet a lot of the people that come on to our sets, and we keep it very positive. We try to be supportive. And yeah, I just like to be, I don't even think, oh, I gotta be humble. I'm just like, I am who I am, and I'm glad I've done a lot of stuff, but so has a lot of people. I'm not the only person who's met a lot of celebrities and worked with them, and it's like, I just don't think about it. I just don't think about that stuff because it doesn't really matter. What matters is doing good and being nice to other people and creating great
Well,
art.
I think the other thing too is, at least in my experience, like, I've worked on sets with celebrities and stuff, but all my films have been sub $1 million. So we're not talking like
Mm.
earth-shattering scale movie making. And even though like I might have been the head honcho on those things, I was still like vacuuming the church at the end of the day, or like, like, I mean, I had PAs try to take the vacuum away from me in one of my movies, and I was like, no, you go do something else. I'm doing this, just because we all got to get out of there. So I think coming from the crew background
Yes.
and not from a silver spoon filmmaking background, I don't have that setup to approach life that way. But I wasn't raised that way either. Like my parents would have reamed me if I had acted that way, or my nana. Oh man,
I think you're right
should
though.
have.
I think starting off like in the production assistant world is actually really great insight that you should carry it with you in film. I think even our last project, we were always cleaning up garbage from every location. When we're wrapped, we don't like, I'm like, dude, I'll clean up garbage. I'll take out garbage. I'll clean toilets.
Yeah.
I don't care what my title is. I'm still a person.
It's actually why people like our film sets in the end. I think it's because the leadership does come from the top, and I will throw them under the bus for it, but the Rust ended up the way it did because of its leadership from the top. It was so I think that's another thing that's important on a film set is like if you get like a bad feeling about that person that calls you,
Yeah.
I mean, it might suck to not take the job, but don't take it.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I've turned down
jobs.
work. Oh yeah.
Yeah, if someone shows like bad communication, like red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's almost not worth the money. And
Nah.
or trauma. I'm like, I don't need more therapy. That's like, I just,
No. It's already a stressful industry. I mean, like you've probably worked long hours past what's usually bedtime. I mean, bedtime for me is like 9:30. So when I'm on a film set, it's like a miracle I'm up till 12 or something. But like, it's like we've started trying to run our film sets, at least on this mini series we've been doing, like 10-hour days, tail lights, like, yeah, crew,
for us.
in and out tail lights, 10 hours, which is funny because it's incredibly short for a film day. And like our clients come who have regular jobs, they're like, oh my gosh, this day is so long. It's so funny. We're like, you don't even know.
And then our film crew, we just have tower days, they're like, we're done. Well, I guess we'll hang out.
Oh yeah, they won't leave.
We're gonna do stuff still. We're
It's
like,
funny. But yeah, I don't know. Interestingly, I gotta say, I think that my film career really is from me developing my own opportunity, and it comes from when I first made my first feature.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's where it truly started, because once you make a feature, there's this sort of mystique that now you're a real filmmaker, which I don't know if that's really true anymore with the way that the industry's shifted, with YouTube creation and stuff. But
Mhm.
aside from that, if you make a feature, everyone still thinks you're hot potatoes. That's cool. But I mean, that only happened because of making short films and like, meeting people and accepting lower positions. Like I thought I was going to be in the union now. I still went back to PA. That's because I was in the union, like sending out mailers to people and like calling people to ask them if they wanted to take the like the condor lifting class. And I'm not allowed to do this, but every time I'd be like, I need a job. If you got one, let me know. I told everyone. I broke the rules. What are they going to do? Fire me? No one else wanted to do the job, So like, anyway, I was like, I'm risking it. I'm not working already. And someone ended up calling me to PA on Kid Nation, which was this reality show at a ghost town. It's funny. Our niece recently had seen all of it, so she was asking me questions. But it was just that typical hard work PAing stuff. But it literally was the beginning. It's where I met the guy that I DP. That was my DP for a long time, and like I mean, a lot of my other good friends that did the crew stuff, and that's like what y'all are doing here, too. It's like that's y'all. And nowadays you got an easier avenue because you can just put it on YouTube and literally command your own viewership and stuff.
Well,
So
Don't you think that that is one of the things about New Mexico's film industry that makes us so successful? I think the fact that we have a grassroots section of filmmakers that are
Yeah.
kind and thoughtful and run sets like yours, I think that has made us more successful in the long run with our total New Mexico film industry because knowing that there are people like that to work for, more people are willing to take a chance and come into the business. And it really speaks well of your work in New Mexico.
well, thank you. I like to think that New Mexico's got a good pile of filmmakers at all levels here. It's interesting to see like the southern New Mexico starting to grow. I know that Las Cruces gets a lot of buzz too, but I'm telling you, if y'all unite and start getting stuff into like the Santa Fe International Film Festival or something, like
That one's Oscar qualified.
that'd be cool,
That's
you know?
good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm getting a lot of questions from a lot of other film liaisons in a lot of other counties about how did I start this group and
Ah.
what are you guys doing here, and because they think it might be beneficial for people in their rural areas as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really do think that the more closely connected and the more networking that you guys can do together, the stronger the whole industry is here locally.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
getting faces and meeting people and knowing who is available for film and who works in the industry, whether that's behind the camera, in front of the camera, or whatever, is something that all of you are going to benefit from knowing. And I have known John for such a long time. uh, when he was a baby filmmaker, and this is what he calls it, he said, do you remember me from when I was a baby filmmaker and did my first film? And I went, absolutely, I certainly do. How's your mom?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we're still trying to get a film down here, and I think eventually we will. But what would happen, interestingly, what would help probably that too would be if y'all did build a strong little network group here, because it would be about the size crew that we would need for like the thing we just did ultimately. Our biggest problem is how do we get everyone down here? The real problem is the actors, because our our thing was based on research from our target demographic, which was youth tied up in juvie for essentially the reasons that we're trying to curb. And so like they ended up coming with like an 8-member cast, which was
Nice.
9-member cast, which is quite exciting. So that was our big problem ultimately, because our clients picked people in Albuquerque. So
So one more thing I would like to know about that we wanted to discuss is Lava as a female filmmaker.
Oh.
You're great inspiration to a lot of the ladies that are acting and want to get in and work their way up in the film industry. And I know you didn't do film school in that path, but I know that you got practical experience, you worked your way up. And tell us about Stowe Story Labs.
Oh, okay. I'll backtrack also that I didn't just learn working on different movies and TV shows, but I did pick up a camera. I had a small grant that was given to me from a women's business incubator, and I bought a very inexpensive Canon at the time. It was just a DSLR, like a Canon 60D, and I was like, okay, I think I read Rebel Without a Crew. It's like just how Robert Rodriguez got his start, just doing it by himself, learning how to make films. And I was like, I'm gonna do that too. No excuses. So I picked up my camera and I just wrote out a little short film that I could film by myself. And then I taught myself filmmaking that way. I did it multiple times. And it's not good films. It's just, but it taught me how to become a filmmaker. So I didn't get to say that. So thanks for bringing that up. And then I also learned how bigger films would made. And so I'm somewhere in between of being very scrappy and then also from big features and bigger projects. And then I would say Stowe Story Labs was incredible. If you guys don't know about it, if you go to the website, you had to kind of look for it if you Google it, but the Stowe Story Labs New Mexico Films Fellowship. It's very different. The New Mexico Film Office has this incredible program to help bring up emerging screenwriters here to write their first screenplay. And they get it's competitive. So you have to like I don't know what the submission process is now, but I was in the second cohort. I was in the second cohort and I wrote a feature film. And it was amazing. I mean, it was about 6 months long, and I'm still really good friends with other my screenwriter friends from it, and it taught me so much. Like it actually blew my confidence through. Like I could do this. I don't know what it was about that fellowship, but it really did take me to another level. Like I felt a lot more confident having such a safe group and understanding storytelling more. Like it was really great.
I just want to jump off of when she said, I can do this. This sounds like a bad self-help thing, but y'all literally can do this. And I got to tell you, there are people who are out there at high levels doing it who don't have a clue. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm telling you the truth. So like y'all can also do it. It might be painful at first or whatever, but and it might feel like you're making something lo-fi. That's okay though. I mean, you'll learn the tricks to make literally the only difference is the tricks of the trade to make it look hi-fi. That's the only difference between hi-fi and lo-fi ultimately, unless you're talking about like bad monster suits or something. But like that, there's also tricks to make that look cool. Just watch the first Alien movie. They had a very unfunctional suit in a lot of ways and they made it look awesome. But I do think that y'all can do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I started out not having a clue. I might have had some nice access to stuff at my school, but none of us had any idea. We were just kids going out and playing, really, and that's how you should see it. So I'd say do it. It's fun. It's also really painful.
And there are fellowships and there are grants available. George Martin, the concept film that we did downtown, a year ago in May, um, that's being shopped for a television series sometime now or in the future. And if you want, you have an idea for a movie, there is a George Martin grant through the New Mexico Film Foundation of $5,000 to get your short film made.
That's cool.
And they present their scripts. They write their scripts and present them. And there's a competitive process. And if you get chosen as one of the recipients, you'll have $5,000 to make a short film. So there are things out there that you can look for. And until you have learned the processes and like they were talking about, I love this advice about dealing with people on set and editing and how that makes you a better actor if you know a little bit about that. You look at films with a different eye once you go into the film industry. You're looking at the shot angles. You're looking at the subtlety of the emotions that are conveyed on the screen. And you're starting to notice as you grow in knowledge all of the things that are going to help you hone your craft and refine what you're doing in the industry. And these guys are great examples of that.
Yeah. And like understanding, like I heard a story about Bruce Willis and how he like got to where he understood the different types of lenses being used, as in like 60 millimeter, 24 millimeter. Those have to do with the focal length and like it gets complicated, but optically it changes the way that reality is displayed to you. And so he understood the difference between say a 100 millimeter lens and a 24 millimeter lens. So you could just ask, hey, what lens you got on there? They'd tell him. He'd be like, okay. Because then he had an idea of like how, like you were saying, how much detail was really being focused on versus it being like a really wide looking angle. And if that doesn't make sense to you right now, get a camera and start playing with zooming in and zooming out and standing in front of it, and you'll start to see what I'm talking about. It's interesting.
Well, as we get ready to close this part and then you continue on with, I'm gonna ask you to look in there, over there at Pharaoh, and just give a last shout of remarks as soon as I do my closing part here. And so we do, we thank you for being with us, and if you have more questions, one thing people forget to do is they forget to subscribe and respond. So if you put your remarks down so that we know how you enjoyed today. I want to thank Jan here at Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank John and Lava for taking their time out and letting us show you some other hidden parts that may help you. I'm reminded of all things are working together, and it seems like we have a lot of things in here that will work together for the good. And so on that note, can we start with Lava if you want to just say a last thing to people?
Your best advice that anyone ever gave you.
Don't be annoyed. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the name of the episode.
I would say, it's a hard industry, but I do believe all things are possible. And I think it's always good to be able to learn and be kind, be mindful of yourself and others. And it's great to have a support group. Like, I actually think this is really wise for you all because it is hard, but it's great to have a community. So I think this is really a wonderful event, and just have a good reason also of why you want to do this. And yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I could probably say more, but stay humble, like you're saying, staying humble, because it's not worth changing who you are for films. It's like, so be always a good person.
I mean, I forget about it, like I said, my bad memory, but my first feature was made with a DSLR camera and a 2-track audio recorder, and sometimes there were only 3 of us, with the actor being one of the 3. So like, y'all can do it. You just gotta commit to it and try to execute a plan. That's all it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us. All right, everyone get in here. Stay in the race. That's the consistency I'm talking about.